$197,747 for the debt service fund.
I make a motion to approve the proposed 2020 budget.
Second.
I have a motion and second to approve the 2020 budget as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing no discussion, all members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Ayes have it, motion carries. Next item is a recommendation to approve the quarterly resolution with the new funds. This is kind of regular, regular quarterly balance transfers from the education fund to the operational fund, $374,081 for the period July 2nd through September 30th, 2019.
I'll make that motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the balance transfers as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Ayes have it, motion carries. Now vouchers for the month of October.
I'll make a motion to approve vouchers 10022 to 100,188.
I'll second.
A motion and a second to approve vouchers 100,022 through 100,188 as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Ayes have it, motion carries. Brings us to October's personnel report. Mr. Chapman?
Members of the board, the October 2019 personnel report has been provided for your consideration. I would like to highlight for you the following items under retirements and resignations. We have Dennis Everhart, South Vermillion Transportation Department bus driver, his resignation effective September 27, 2019. Sandy Vietnamini, WRCTE Health Careers Instructional Assistant, her resignation effective October 11, 2019. And Harold Waldrop Jr., affectionately known as Punk.
Does anybody know Harold?
Yeah, I know. Harold, who? Corporation Maintenance Director, his retirement after 23 years of service effective the end of the day, December 31st, 2019. We also have recommendations for Cindy Searing, South Vermillion High School second shift custodian, effective October 7, 2019. She is replacing Jack Thompson. And Rolla Hoke, South Vermillion High School second shift custodian, effective November 4th, 2019. That is the new position that we are putting in with the addition of the auxiliary gym, annex, soccer facility and all that. Melanie Luther and Mark Schimmel will be working on coordinating responsibilities for those once everything is up and running. Also the addendum item, Crystal Cottrell, Van Dyne Elementary registered nurse, effective November 4th, 2019. We ask your approval of the personnel report this evening.
Make the motion. I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second to approve the tonight's personnel report as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Ayes have it, motion carries. Moving on, presentation reports. First of all, South Vermillion High School graduation pathways. Thank you, Mr. Schimmel.
Thank you, school board, Mr. Chapman. Appreciate the time that you're giving us tonight. I don't want to take a lot of it. Last year, we presented you with information regarding graduation pathways that the state of Indiana has made accessible to, supposed to be starting with the class of 2023, which is our current freshmen. And this is to be in place of ISTEP. I provided you with an email with basic information about what we did last year with the graduation pathways, and I've also presented you with a packet that's from the state of Indiana, the DOE, regarding the pathways, what they entail, what they're about. All I can say is last year you approved us to utilize the pathways with our current seniors, the class of 2019. And if it had not been for that measure, we would probably have had a lot of students not meet graduation requirements based on the old ways of ISTEP testing. And so first of all, I want to say thank you for allowing us that opportunity to do that and working with our students and doing something that the state says we can do. They've given us the opportunity, we might as well take advantage of it. This year, what I would like to propose is that we allow this opportunity to take place with our current seniors and juniors. We have a number of students in position of being at risk of not graduating via I-STEP, where in that case we would have to provide waivers for graduation. And the more waivers that we provide for graduation because students don't pass the I-STEP, the more of a hit we take on our school letter grade. And again, going back to if the state is creating this, the state is allowing us to use this as a form of graduation, why not take advantage of it? And so the packet I gave you, there's some highlighted things on there. Again, this was originally created for the cohort of 2023, but according, as you can see with the highlighted information here, that this is allowable for other grades, current students in the high school as well. Now, the one decision they have to make, they either go to the pathway or they stay on the I-STEP track. If they decide to go to the pathway, they're not going back to the I-STEP track. It's strictly the graduation pathway. Again, I go back to, what are we here for? We're here to educate our students. We're here to help them earn a high school diploma. That is our main goal at the high school, as well as probably the main goal of our entire school corporation. We want to see every student from the time they walk in as a kindergartner to the time they leave as a senior and have that opportunity to earn that high school diploma. And again, we're not doing anything outside the bounds. We're not doing anything outside of the norm. We're doing exactly what the state of Indiana has offered. And I just want to take full advantage of it if I can. And I know there are some students who struggle with that I-STEP for various reasons. Could be testing anxiety, could be special education. They struggle with passing that test. This allows us and affords us another opportunity to put a diploma in a student's hand. On the second page that I gave you, there's the basic requirements of the graduation pathway. There are 3 levels, or 3 things that we have to meet, criteria. The first one is the credits. Our graduation credit requirement is still the same, 42 credits for a Core 40 diploma or academic honors diploma or technical honors, or they can get a general diploma with 40 credits. So that nothing changes with that. They still have to pass their classes. The second part is learn and demonstrate employability skills. And these can be through one of 3 areas: project-based, service-based, or work-based learning. Service-based and work-based is where we've tried to focus our attention, because in those 2 categories they mention being involved in some type of extracurricular activity at the high school during their time there. And that can be anything from theater, band, sports, FFA. If they've demonstrated that they've participated in these for an extended amount of time, they don't give a set time, they just say that they've demonstrated participation in these events or activities. We utilize those. Another one is having a job. If they have a job outside of school, that falls under the work-based learning experience, and that can qualify them for number 2. Then the number 3 is post-secondary ready, and this is depending on what type of diploma they get. There's cutoff benchmark scores for ACT and SAT. There's also the ASVAB score, which we're getting ready to give to our juniors and seniors here in a couple weeks. They can also get a CTE concentrator in the career technical education. Right now that is 6 credits, but that's changing, and it's going to evolve into 2 years of a CTE concentrator. So not only, now we're working on getting kids into these programs as seniors. In the future with our freshmen, they're going to have to be juniors, their junior year and their senior year, being involved in our CTE programs. And that's the same program both years. They have to have 2 years of the same. So for example, welding 1 and welding 2, building trades 1, building trades 2, health careers 1, health careers 2, junior and senior year. And so with that coming down the pike, that's going to raise staffing issues, that's going to raise classroom size issues. I mean, there's going to be some things that we're going to have to deal with down the road, but for the time being, we're still only having to require 6 credits, which means 1 year. Either their junior year or their senior year, if they can complete a CTE program with a C or better.
Until 2023? Or
yes, until the current freshmen get there. Yep. And so under those are the 3 things that we're looking at and we're working with. I think we're very well set up already with our WRCTE program. We're in a very good position to afford our students a lot of opportunities to do some great things and to meet these criteria. As I said, we've scheduled the ASVAB. We did it twice last year. We've got once already this year. Hopefully, if we need to, we'll do it again in the spring. We have a number of students who earn honors diplomas already, and we have a lot of students who are involved. We have a lot of students who are involved in activities. We have a lot of students that have jobs. So between those three things, in the credits, we are going to hit a lot of our students and afford them the opportunity to graduate. I've asked Mrs. Avenatti and Mr. Grange to come along with me this evening. Mrs. Avenatti is going to discuss kind of the forms and the paperwork that we utilize to communicate with home on these decisions, and Mr. Grange is kind of talk about the I-STEP versus pathways scenario.
The paper that I handed out to you, it's got the Indiana employability skills. That has to do with number 2, which if you look at that paper, you can see a lot of good things that the students need to learn in school as far as at their jobs or activities. When I had parents and students ask me, what is this pathways thing? I don't get it. And this is what I always tell them. I said, it's like going to Terre Haute. You can take 41 or you can take 63. You ultimately get to Terre Haute, right? You know. Well, same with a diploma. You can go pathway or you can go I-STEP. Either way, you still get the diploma. So I think sometimes people make it really confusing, but it really isn't. Paperwork-wise, we have a lot of paperwork here to designate, as far as pathways. First thing we do is we talk to the students. We have to talk to them individually and look at their transcripts and find out their activities, if they're employed and so on. If we think that they could go the pathway route, then we send a paper home to parents and we ask the parents, is this what you want done? Do you want to forego I-STEP and go the pathway? If we get that back, then we get them some additional paperwork to fill out. If they're employed, we give them paperwork to take their employer. The employer has to sign off and evaluate them, and the students also have a thing to write too. Activity-wise, if they have, let's say they play football, there's a part where the coach has to sign off, and it's not just a signature. There's things that they have to write down, and the students also have to write to the state. We then get that paperwork back, and that paperwork gets uploaded to the state. And it is, with the state, and then of course the hard copies we put in the permanent record. But we've got a lot of paperwork, and so I think it's a good thing for the students too. We've had students not be able to pass I-STEP, but they pass ASVAB, or they pass the old ECA, the I-STEP ECA when they're in the 8th grade, but then they can't pass I-STEP. So it does give our students an opportunity to earn a diploma in a different way.
I apologize for my attire. We're in the middle of basketball practice and we're just in between free throws and introducing our new offense, so I apologize for that. But it is good, I'm telling you right now, the girls' basketball team right now, come watch, it's going to be something special, even more special. Imagine, if you will, and we all will relate to this, I'm sure, the number of kids that go through with I-STEP, and it is a miserable experience. It is a stressful world. It causes them undue anxiety, a lot of sleepless nights, and from my lens, a lot of time away from the actual classwork, the schoolwork, the things that they really need to have time to focus on. This pathway opportunity, we talked before, and we've got it approved where the seniors are already allowed to get on pathways. When the state has said it's our decision, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, obviously the freshmen have a different set of standards that they're going to go with, but our juniors are eligible to benefit from the same opportunity. There are about 90 juniors right now that are still needing to take the I-STEP, pass the I-STEP. So there are 90 juniors right now that don't know whether they're going to graduate high school. 90. It's a big number. 65 roughly of those kids, 65 of them are already right now in a CTE class. So as Mr. Schimmel just said, one of those Part 3 requirements is to get 6 credits of CTE. Well, 65 of those 90 kids at the end of this school year will have gotten those 6 CTE credits with a C or above. That part to be determined, but they're in a position to get that. That would meet the 3rd criteria already. The diploma requirement's going to be met, and then the second one, as Mr. Schimmel talked about, service-based, activity-based, project-based, that's not going to be a hurdle for them either. So we're already down to 25, 30 kids left to get through I-STEP. Of those 25, 30, the ASVAB is the other opportunity to get that. It's the same thing. It's either CTE credits or it's the ASVAB test. Well, all those 90 kids are going to take the ASVAB along with the seniors that still need it, November 1st. So a lot of those kids, whether they're in CTE or not, they pass the ASVAB, they're already going to be eligible, if approved, to be on pace to. Now they just got to get their requirements, they can focus on their schoolwork, they can stop worrying about the stress of this I-STEP thing, and just focus on being a high school student and getting their diploma. So again, I mean, it seems like a pretty opportunistic situation for our existing juniors. I've seen it firsthand. I know there's several people in here, several of you have seen it firsthand. Just the level of duress that these kids are under on a test that, for obviously, it's going away for a reason. They're going to a different plan, which I wholeheartedly believe is a much more well-rounded approach to getting a better product at the end. So hopefully we will have the opportunity to open this up to our juniors also, so that we can get them the paperwork started now, so that they'll know going into their senior year, they don't have to worry about I-STEP. They can focus on getting their grades and move on, look forward to college and beyond the workforce, whatever they do.
We had a teacher that came to us a couple of weeks ago, and she was saying that she tracked all the times her kids were out for testing. She said of the 4 9 weeks, all the testing that her kids were pulled out for would equal 1 9 weeks. Now, can you imagine that? From a teacher's point of view, having these kids being pulled out all the time for all the different kinds of tests that there are. And I'm thinking, my gosh, how could you possibly get your standards covered and get the things done? But that's just where we are in the state of Indiana with all this testing. So, as Mr. Grange said, if we can alleviate some of that and get them in the classroom more and get their deployment, we see that.
And not only the teachers feeling that it's a complete disruption to our school day, not for just one day. I mean, this is 4 or 5 days in a row. You're talking 100 to 200 students being pulled out. You know, every school does it. Every school has testing. The high school is just a little different animal because we don't have to test every single student. You know, I feel for middle school, they shut down everything. They're testing all 3 grades, but everybody's doing it. Whereas with us, our freshmen aren't taking I-STEP. This winter, it's just juniors and seniors that haven't passed it. In the spring, our sophomores, our entire sophomore class takes it, and any juniors or seniors who haven't passed it. I mean, it just disrupts everything in our school day for at least a week. And then we have makeups on top of that for kids that were absent, and it becomes a headache and a roadblock and a stumbling block for a lot of things. And so, again, I just ask for your consideration in allowing us to start moving forward with putting our juniors on a graduation pathway plan if that's what they choose to do. As Mr. Grange said, we will knock out a lot of testers or retesters by being able to do this. So, but we're here to answer any questions you may have about it as well.
I had
Yes, sir.
I'm very much in favor of this. I really liked the concept when it came out, and I just mentioned there was a good article in last Sunday's Indy paper about testing generally speaking, and the time it takes and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I just had a couple of questions. When someone chooses the pathway options, how is that documented for them? I mean, it's a portfolio, is it just documented, inserted in their records, or?
No, we have the paperwork that has to be filled out.
Okay.
And then we have to upload that paperwork to the state.
Okay,
Yes,
that was
and
my
then we keep
question.
it in the permanent records, yes.
Okay,
it's
then-
Papers. that-
Then we have those records locally as well?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And the other question I have was, do you have any plan to gather data, document over time how are kids doing on the AFQT or, you know, on the ASVAB? I mean, it would be interesting to do that as
Yeah.
time goes on.
Absolutely. And right now, they've given us a cutoff score of 31. Who's to say that's gonna stay the same over the years, depending on how many kids pass that? And, the state may come back and say, they're gonna require something
No,
different.
right.
They always do.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, absolutely, that's the things that, we've got all of that information for every student in Harmony right now, and it's on their transcripts, so we have all that stuff documented.
Although that ASVAB is a much different test
is.
than it was
It is.
25
It
years
is.
ago too,
It is.
so, you know.
It is, but, and I also want to, again, talk about, you got certain population of kids who know 1,000 times they can take the I-STEP, and 1,000 times they're not going to pass the I-STEP. You put them on the ASVAB, I watched it last year, some of these kids, there's certain topics, mechanical questions, life skill stuff that they totally get. That's their world, that's their niche. And all of a sudden their light goes on, and they score better in all areas on
And
that
to me,
test.
that's the encouraging thing.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Amen. And again, just free up so much more time, be done with it, and move on.
Yeah, I'm glad you're doing that. I'm glad you've allowed the early experimentation with this and that.
How many of our last year's seniors took advantage of the pathways?
That was what I was wondering.
Yeah, I think we had 50, it wasn't quite 55, I would say, I think it was like 52 seniors.
Yeah.
I think we ended up going that route with.
And they ended up graduating.
And one of the other benefits, I don't know if it's already been discussed, is just, we don't have to lean on waivers. We don't have to end up with graduation waivers, which you get a certain number of waivers and the school gets hit on that too. So you don't have to go to a waiver to get a diploma, for example. There's certain criteria you need to get a graduation waiver. There's a pathway waiver and then there's just your regular waiver. That avoids all of that because they've already bypassed it by doing this pathway option. It's a win-win.
So I think we'll take your recommendation at next month's meeting and proceed from there.
Okay. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Good.
Work with Mr. Chapman, make sure we got on the agenda. Right?
Duly noted.
Okay. Next up, curriculum instruction assessment update, Dr. Beaver.
Story time.
Okay, Ginger.
We practiced the tech setup at 3 o'clock.
I don't know, you're letting Mr. Williams touch the TV, so I don't know. It's not a good, oh,
There we go. Okay, so I'd like to point out that this is the curriculum tab located under the departments tab under the Our District tab.
lot of tabs.
I need better nouns. So now a new feature in this area, oh, hold on, the tabs. These are the archived newsletters, so always then on our website for the current school year, anyone can click on July, August, September, and then this is October. And then down this side is the Twitter feed for the curriculum department, you know, that my curriculum committee chooses to post. All of us. So then, look, oh,
I prefer the Lion King.
that's my fault? I disconnected? Okay, I didn't choose it. Must be a tab. Look, there we are. So, let's see, let me close this guy. Well, yeah, let me close that one too. There we go. So, for October, I wanted to look, and so since this has been published globally, we've had one view of this newsletter. Okay, those are the analytics. Yeah, that's. I'm just gonna go home and open it, and then, you know. So, I wanted to mention how PD has changed, or is changing, for South Vermillion, which should always be the statement I say. We should always be in that mode. So we kind of morphed to a buffet style, and we had 3 sessions, one for the high school, at the high school, one for the middle school, at the middle school, and one for the 3 elementaries at the middle school in October. 3 consecutive days, and we called it the Wildcat Buffet, where our own people presented the PD, volunteering to do so, and choosing their topic based on what we identified as needs in the previous PD event from the Google survey. And by and large, teachers were asking for strategies they could implement the very next day in their classroom. That's always valid and important. And ideas for addressing differentiation, high and low, for our high ability and struggling learners across the content areas. And also we included the test administration, which is a feature of the testing monster that you already are aware of. All of our test administrators have to be certified each year by watching the same video and passing a little quiz on it. And we didn't want them to use their own time for that. So we incorporated that as one of the options on the menu that they could choose from if they were so inclined. And that was a self-guided session where they could just log in, and we provided that time for them to get that test administration. They cannot administer iLearn, iRead, and within iLearn, that's also the biology ECA and at the high school. So without that test administration certification. Lots of words. So the left column and then the middle and the right, these are the 3 different PD summaries, and they explain the different features. One neat feature was this year the principals were wondering what should we do if someone has a conflict or if they're ill that day, if they have an already pre-established appointment and they can't attend that PD, but technically they still are beholden to that time with the corporation due to the early release Fridays, right? So they were then able to attend another one of the sessions, or simply click on the file that we link to them and they could choose the menu remotely and go through the training sessions on their own based on notes, and then based on notes provided by each presenter. So then they submitted that to their principals, and then they sent that to me as well. So it was pretty neat to see that we are still accommodating those who cannot make it on a given day. So ideally, I'm asking teachers if they would consider in the year 2020, like as in January, moving PD to one night instead of 3 separate nights. And that's not, that's not a set thing. We do already have our 3 separate dates. We do meet in unison December, and then I believe in April. We meet on one day anyway, but we were thinking that for vertical planning, we have a lot to share across our grade bands. So we wanted to capture that opportunity as well. Then we could expand the menu, because an elementary teacher came to the middle school PD because she was not able to attend on her day, and she was impressed with the menu choices. Those were not the same menu choices for her PD day because different presenters, different days. So we would be able to have a wider, menu, which is what everybody wants. So we had the chef hats, you can see up here, and even these two administrators said, I think they wrote on their apron, I can't remember what it said, something about serving up some great PD or something like that. So I wanted to direct your attention to the cute graffiti on the jeans. 5 pairs of jeans were, 1 pair per school during on the PD days. Mr. Chapman decided that a need was brought to his attention from our corporation nurse, Hannah Hoover, that when students have an emergency and they need replacement clothing, that sometimes a staff member has to just rush out and buy that or donate that, and that is, we'd like to be more prepared to assist our students in that type of in that very unique situation. So we had a denim day. If on your given PD day, we said, Mr. Chapman said you could wear jeans for $2. So they stuffed a cuff and with their dollars, and the picture is, I believe that's Van Dyne's little pair of jeans. Those weighed like 20 pounds because the rolls of quarters stuffed in all the pockets and pinned with safety pins all over the full-size jeans. That was a really neat endeavor that helped Hannah Hoover then have $298. And here's the neat thing about that. That's from our people, our South Vermillion people. So we're helping each other, and that's just what we do. And that was pretty special. So each pair of jeans then will belong to the health room in the building where that pair resided. They signed the jeans also. So let's say I forgot to wear jeans that day, but I still wanted to donate. And if my friends down the hall signed, well, I wanted to sign solo, peer pressure. So that perhaps got us a little more cash for our program. So Hannah was very grateful, and she can now respond to that need, which directly benefits South Vermillion students. So that was pretty cool. And Mr. Chapman said, in the spring?
Oh, we're gonna do it again in the spring.
Yeah.
Is that what I said?
Yeah, that's what I said. Okay, so I wanted to share Central Elementary Strive for 5 program. This is an organic, homegrown, central created, centrally located, I just have to say that part, play on the word, a program for character ed and recognizing good behavior and promoting good decision making. Central Elementary looked at other models across the state, and the students and the teachers last year came up with Strive for 5. They had a kickoff the Friday before fall break. Pretty intelligent timing because they needed to get out the wiggles. I wanted you to see this picture. I don't know where my little mouse went off to. There he is. In this lovely skit where we have some poorly behaved students, I believe this one's throwing a chair and this one is lying backwards in her chair. The teacher's trying to teach. Those are teachers modeling poor behaviors, and the kids got a great big kick out of that. And then on the flip side, students spoke and modeled good behaviors. And the 5 words, the Strive for 5, it's based on, the model looks like the hand, and then the hand print has the shape of a 5. It's pretty neat. All the posters are in the building. T-shirts, you can see the sea of yellow. Everyone received a t-shirt to promote Strive for 5. And Mr. Jenkins let me know that this program with the 5 themes of respect, kindness, responsibility, doing my best, and honesty, chosen by students and staff, and they're challenging students and adults in the building to demonstrate those 5 core values in and out of the school. I think that's pretty special. That was a pretty neat event. So, Strive for 5. EL education. At the middle school, I focused on last month visiting language arts classes at the middle school during EL lessons, and what I saw was student engagement times a lot. The neat dynamics of the group work and the way the teacher had already established the routine of EL was quite impressive. And one teacher, Jana Jo, said it wasn't this routine grouping, getting students in these mixes, different abilities, different tasks, different sizes of groups. She said now it's a well-oiled machine when they rotate through the stations and complete different tasks. So that was pretty exciting. This center picture that you could see more clearly on your own device, but this is a model for all teachers using EL and anyone in the nation using EL. Jana Jo has hundreds, or she will by the end of the year, anchor charts, which are interactive, like giant chart paper where the students go up and put post-it notes on. And some of the charts are called notices and wonderings about craft moves that an author embeds in stories. And that's a higher level of thinking. Getting those students to interact in that way has great promise for comprehension long term. But especially important is the way to store all that stuff. So I think it's pretty cool that she uses a shoe bag right here to store clothespins, and then over here she has a shoe rack with hangers where she clips them. And I know that seems like, what's the big deal? Why are we talking about that? But that's really important whenever you adopt a new curriculum. There are these logistics, the mechanics, the nuts and bolts of how and where and what will I store in my classroom and what has to move out of the way because of all this new stuff. And I was impressed with how she's eagerly organizing that. So they can use those posters again next year, so she's saving. Now, South Vermillion is participating in a corporation-wide, also statewide, also nationwide writing project this week. Every student has been invited to create a greeting card for deployed soldiers. This was started 16 years ago in New Hampshire by the State Board of Education Superintendent, and Jennifer McCormick, our state's Superintendent of Public Instruction, whose son is a student at West Point, said that she would like Indiana schools to participate as well. We are one of 50 districts participating in the military cards for soldiers, and the pictures here, this is a picture from Mr. Basin, first-year teacher in South Vermillion. Mr. Basin sent me this photo of students making cards in his class. This photo is from Jennifer Crane at Ernie Pyle, and this photo is from Alana Williams at Central. And they each sent me like 6 or 7, and they said, you know, I took some templates there, different size writing lines, or they could just have free choice. But Mr. Chapman and I will pick those up on Monday and include our own greeting cards, and those have to be postmarked, 2 days after that. So we've told the teachers we will be by to pick those up. So I think that's kind of neat because teachers are hard pressed to to convey to our students that writing, the difference between writing and then writing for a real audience. There's that power link that's sometimes missing in writing assignments. Why do we have to do this? But knowing that that's truly going to the hands of a soldier across the pond is pretty special. So, new dyslexia legislation, beginning 2019 and 20, the state of Indiana, all districts, charter and public, respond to the legislation from the General Assembly. And in that language, K through 2 grade levels, those students must be tested for risk factors of dyslexia. And I don't want to be misinterpreted. We at South Vermillion are not diagnosing dyslexia. That is for a school psych or a doctor away from South Vermillion. But what we can do, because we have dyslexia trained staff, one at each elementary building, the reading specialist, we can identify the risk factors and then get students help, whereas before that was not in place. So that's one thing about Indiana legislation we're happy about, so that's pretty cool. K through 2 students, plus there's language for students who come to us from another corporation or another state, grades 3 and above, how to respond to that. What you should see on every school's website in the state of Indiana is a link for dyslexia and then 3 things that the state says this is what must be seen from a school's website. What dyslexia program is employed K to 2, and how many students were positive for risk factors, and then how many received services. So that's in place on our website. That I'm not okay with just that being the only thing on that link. I think parents should all, and community and teachers should also be able to click on the dyslexia tab and see a South Vermillion stance on dyslexia and what that actually looks like and what if my child ... And so we are working on that. So by I think February, we will be able to launch the South Vermillion Dyslexia Handbook. Not required by the state, but I feel like we should exhaust all efforts to inform. I conclude.
Thank you, Dr. Weaver.
Thank you very much.
Any questions? Thank you very much. Okey-doke. No. This page here somewhere. That's right. Okay, we'll move on to the decision part of the agenda. First of all, recommendation to approve the corporation to absorb the 2% health insurance increase for 2019-2020 for all employee groups. Mr. Chapman.
Members of the board, as part of the Wabash Valley West Central Indiana Insurance Trust, the Southern Range Community School Corporation has benefited well as rate increases in recent years have been well below the state average. This year, the rate increase was only 2%, which far lower than any other insurance trust or independent corporation in the state. As a result, the school corporation is recommending that the increase be absorbed by the school corporation and not passing it on to any of our employees who take part in the insurance. We ask your approval of this recommendation this evening.
Make a motion.
Second.
Bruce? Yeah. I have a motion and a second to approve the recommendation for the corporation to absorb the 2% health insurance increase 2019-20 for all employee groups as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing no discussion, all members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Ayes have it, motion carries. Next item, recommendation to approve the collective bargaining agreement with the SBEA for the 2019-2020 school year. Mr. Chapman.
Members of the board, I'm pleased to report that negotiations with the SBA for a new collective bargaining agreement went very well this year, and we reached a tentative agreement back on September 26th after only 2 sessions. Very positive meetings both, as there were new aspects to finalizing the tentative agreement. A public hearing with regard to the tentative agreement was held on October 7th. Earlier this evening, the SBA held their ratification meeting in which the association approved the tentative agreement. Therefore, I'm asking the board to recommend approval of the tentative agreement of the collective bargaining agreement for 2019-20 school year between the SBA and SVCS.
I make that motion.
I second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the collective bargaining agreement with the SVA for the 2019-2020 school year. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all members in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Ayes have it, motion carries. Next item, recommendation to approve administrative salary increase and stipend for the 2019-2020 school year. Mr. Chapman?
Members of the board, in keeping with the approval of the CBA with the teachers, I'm requesting approval for the recommendation of salary increases for all eligible administrators. This increase mirrors the dollar amount for the teachers, and like the teachers, is a combination of base salary increase and one-time stipend equaling $2,000 each. We ask your approval for this request this evening.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the administrative salary increases and stipends for the 2019-20 school year as presented. Any further discussion? I will point out, this excludes the superintendent.
Yes.
We traditionally take care of that in December, January.
Once we see if there's any money left.
That's right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all members in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Ayes have it, motion carries. Next item, recommendation to reduce the high school assistant principal's contract and pay by 5 days from what is now 215 to 210 days. Mr. Chapman?
Members of the board, South Marine High School Assistant Principal Rodney Idlewine has indicated his desire to decrease his contracted days from 215 to 210 days. This request is supported by both Mr. Schimmel and myself. It is important to note that this is a voluntary request and goes into effect for the 2019-2020 school year. Your approval is requested this evening. Just as a matter of fact, we did not agree to the 2-day per week reduction that he wanted at the same pay. Just want to make sure that's
I didn't
clear.
know that was coming. I'll make that motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the adjustment of the high school assistant principal's contract and associated pay from 215 days to 210 contracted days. And that's effective immediately.
Yes.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all members in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Ayes have it, motion carries. Next item, recommendation to approve the classified support staff handbook for the 2019-2020 school year.
Members of the board, the classified employee handbook has undergone a few revisions and has been presented to you this evening for your approval. Revisions include classification items, including the IT specialist in the school nursing program, and leave day language and paid holidays to be consistent with the teacher's language. We ask your approval this evening.
Question before we move. Did we do first reading last month? I wasn't here.
No.
We
This is just adding the two different
We talked about
languages.
the nurses though.
Yeah.
the last meeting.
I just curious. Normally we've handled those in first reading, second reading. That's the
We can do that if you like.
pleasure of the board. Pleasure of the board.
The only stipulation that we changed was moving what was Rob Meyer to Jason Zuka's position.
Yeah.
And then with the nursing situation.
The way it was presented to us was easy to read, and I like the way it was. I mean, it's
The only
going
changes
word by
actually,
word.
you
The
know that
changes.
it read, right?
Right, yes, yes.
Okay, that's what I,
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
A motion second to approve the classified manual and support staff changes, or handbook changes as presented for the 2019-2020 school year. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all members in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Ayes have it, motion carries. Now, recommendation to approve the classified support staff salary increase and stipend for the 2019-2020 school year. Mr. Chapman?
Members of the board, in keeping with certified staff, we have before you a recommendation for base salary and wage increases for all classified and support staff positions equivalent to approximately 1% of the current rate. Also, part of the recommendation is for a one-time stipend for all eligible employees in the amount of $200 for full-time and $100 for part-time employees. The difference between full-time and part-time is the 30-hour threshold per week. To be eligible for the stipend, the employee must have been employed by the school corporation during the past school year and have received a favorable evaluation, which includes an effective or highly effective rating. We ask your approval this evening.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the classified support staff salary increases as presented for the 2019-2020 school year. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all members in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Ayes have it, motion carries. Next item, recommendation to approve building level approved and denied transfer requests for the 2019-2020 school year. Mr. Chadden?
Members of the board, you have in your packet this evening student transfer request. I want to show you, or to present your attention, that per board policy, transfers may be denied by the sending and or receiving principals. In your packet, 2 of the requests have been denied and supported by the principal's office, by the superintendent's office. Your approval of the determination of these transfer requests is requested this evening.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the building level approved and denied transfer requests for the 2019-2020 school year as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all members in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Ayes have it, motion carries. Now we move on to field trips. Mr. Chapman.
Members of the board, per board policy, field trips that extend the school day, travel out of state, or are overnight trips require board approval. The field trips outlined in your board packet this evening fall into this category and thus require your approval. There are 9 of them listed. South Vermillion High School attending the WRC Choral Festival in Covington on October 29th. The high school band percussion students' Third Coast Percussion Concert at DePaul on April 22nd. The high school band drumline students performing at Lucas Oil Stadium during, I believe it's a Colts game at halftime maybe?
Yeah.
October 27th, South Vermillion High School Marching Band Leadership Group Postmodern Jukebox Concert at DePaul University on October 26th. The high school band jazz combo students at DePaul University on December 6th and 7th. And Ernie Powell 5th grade class, their annual Holiday World Splash and Safari trip on May 8th, 2020. High school FFA students attending the Fire Conference in Trafalgar from November 15 to November 17, 2019. The high school WRCTE Early Childhood Education classes Be a Teacher Day Conference at Bankers Life Fieldhouse on November 8th. And the South Vermillion High School Purdue Bridge Bust event on February 21st, 2020. We ask your approval of these field trips this evening.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the field trips as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Ayes have it, motion carries, field trips are approved. Next item, recommendation to approve donations, Mr. Chapman.
Members of the board, the monthly donation for schools are as follows. Central Elementary totaling $3,885.90, plus some non-monetary items. Contributors include Clinton American Legion, Clinton Township Trustee, Clinton PTO, Central PTO, not Clinton. Casey's $300 ribbons for excellence coupons, and Attorney Piles supplies valued at $500 from Staples. South Vermillion High School totals $700 included from Ryan Luce State Farm Insurance, Fraternal Order of Eagles, Blandford Sportsman Club, and R&D Robinson for the class of 2023. The others are for the dance team. And finally, South Vermillion Middle School totaling $1,482.45 from Pettit and Associates and middle school choir parents. We ask your approval of these donations for the month of October this evening.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the donations as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all members in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Those opposed, same sign. Ayes have it, motion carries. That brings us to the conclusion of our regular portion of tonight's agenda, and the one item before we move on is the final call for citizens' comment. If If anybody would like to address the board, this will be your last chance to do so. If anybody would like to address the board, please stand, state your name for the record. Hearing and seeing no public comment, we'll close public comment and conclude the meeting with first superintendent comment and then board member comment. Mr. Chapman?
Thank you, Mr. Ream. Members of the board, just want to give you an update on the auxiliary gym project. We are nearing completion, expected sometime next week. We're looking forward to having an opportunity to give the board a tour of the facility here in the upcoming week or so. We'll get that email out to you and respond accordingly with some dates and times that we could do that. Also want to remind the board of the ISBA Regional Fall Meeting on Thursday, November 7th. Those of you who would like to attend. If you haven't already contacted me, please do so, and we'll get that registration taken care of. We'll meet here and head over from there. Also, got word today that the Welcome to Vermillion County signs are finally going to go up. It's been a long time. There'll be, I believe, 2, and I'll have the state champion band piece to it. One will be placed on Highway 163 at the River Bridge, and the other on Highway 63, the north side heading north into Vermillion County from Vigo County. So those should be going up very soon. So was notified that today, and greatly appreciate all the work for that. So with that, I'll end my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chapman. How about we'll start with Dr. Hawkins.
Hey, I just wanted to put in a good word for the teachers organization and superintendent's office for work on the CBA. I think it's always a good thing when you agreeably come to an agreement like that, so appreciate your work on that. And I saw Jack Thompson retired. I saw him cooking hamburgers and just smiling over there at the football game the other night, so he's doing great. Pathways, appreciate that presentation. Dr. Beaver, always appreciate your presentations, and congrats to the band and flags and all the people who helped them get where they are. So they did a great job, and I know they're moving on. And then the only other thing I wanted to mention is, I don't know if it's appropriate or the timing, maybe the time later on to have a report on the behavioral intervention, how that's going.
At the elementary school?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I agree.
Yeah. I mean, if there's some early success, we can know about that, and things we need to adjust, we'd like to know about that too. So I think it's such a critical thing to be doing at the elementary, so I wanted to mention that. That's all I have.
Very good. Thank you, Dr. Hawkins. Mrs. Abe?
I too appreciate the reports, informative and upbeat, and always appreciate hearing from you all. And I just have one question. We've been through another e-learning day. How did that go? How did people feel about how it went?
I don't know that there were any negatives, to be perfectly honest with you. Nothing came across my office.
Probably the most
without
quiet
it?
one
Yeah,
that I've experienced.
Yeah.
it was,
It was just kind of like business as usual,
Yeah.
wasn't it? We've all gotten used to it
it
already.
really was. There was a lot, we used the parent-teacher conferences at the elementary and middle school and the high school, made sure that there were some contacts made at home, and there was, some time for the faculties to get together to go over some things that needed to be taken care of. So I think on our end, it was a very productive day. As I said, I don't know about the principals at the building level, but from our office here, we had not received one negative comment.
Was it helpful as far as the conferences go? That was helpful.
Had a lot of comments from parents, how much they appreciated us dedicating that time to conferences, because in the past, we might be able to get 8 in for a scheduled conference for our PD night, so to meet with almost everybody in the classes, teachers and parents both really appreciated it.
Well, it's a great use for e-learning. I mean, probably one of the better.
Yeah, I think so.
And it's well
I agree
planned.
with that.
Right, we had the, since we put that, on the calendar last year, we were able to spend enough time to iron out all the details that we needed to have, and it worked. I think it worked flawlessly.
So that's something we'll probably do it each year.
I anticipate doing that annually, yes.
Connecting to the internet. Check your Wi-Fi.
My, how your voice has changed.
That's it, on that comment.
Yeah. Appropriate. All right, thank you, Ms. Solly. Mr. West?
Just want to echo everything that my colleagues have shared. Sounds like we're hitting on all cylinders. Appreciate your effort and keep doing it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. West. Mrs. Crowder?
Well, same here. I appreciate the Pathfinders and the guidance counselors have left, but that information I think was very informative. And Dr. Beaver, you're always, there was a smile. And congratulations to our band, and good luck.
I should add, if you haven't seen the 360-degree percussion, wow, that is awesome.
I heard about it. Yeah.
That is sincerely awesome. That blew everybody away at the regional. Nobody was expecting that. And Erica and
Explain to them what that was for the NFC.
oh, they just turned these kids played
Yeah.
standing up, being turned 360 degrees, and I'm telling you, the people there just went wild. Okay, Erica is adding little things as she goes, and there's new things being added, and they're shooting for semi-state because they sincerely want to get to state. There were 13 people at regional. They only took 10, and there was 2 regionals, so we're up. There's 20 right now that's going to the semi-state, and if I'm correct, I think they only take 10 to the state, and that is at Lucas Oil. So there's a lot on the table, there's a lot of effort, and there's a lot of people working. And it's pretty exciting, but if you haven't seen this percussion, yeah, it's cool. It's really neat. So, yeah, thank you for...
Thank you, Mr. West. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay. Mr. Cool?
I don't have anything else except good luck to the band.
Yep, you bet. Thank you, Mr. Cool. One thing I wanted to add is congratulations to the boys soccer team. Went to the final sectional, about as far as you can go in sectional finals. We lost on PKs, but they had a great season.
2. Who'd we lose to?
My son.
Westfield.
You know, I had forgotten about that. Did we talk about that when you joined us?
He was one of the PKs.
Yeah. Oh,
But a
boy.
special note, that was West Vigo's second ever sectional win, and our first ever was coached by Juan.
Ah.
So Juan was, either way, you guys are kind of neat.
It was a shame anyone had to lose.
I know.
Yeah, that's so sad. It was a great match.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chad. We got a lot of stuff to sign here with the budget, so please don't run off too quick. One thing I wanted to check on, and if it's not possible, not a problem, but would there be a problem deferring next month's meeting the following Monday? Would anybody have any objection?
Well, let me take a look real
So
quick.
it'll be the 25th, that's the
Yeah.
Monday of Thanksgiving
Yeah.
vacation.
Would it,
Oh, the
it certainly
25th?
it would do me a,
I don't have a problem with it.
the rest of the board members have issue with that?
So that would make it on
25th.
25th.
Yeah, just in the following Monday.
Well,
I
that's
don't have a problem
Thanksgiving.
with it, but
Week,
it could
the
be.
Thanksgiving Monday.
Make it the 25th.
Oh, wait a minute.
When you decide this, Mr. Schimmel has a question.
Dr. Beaver just reminded me too, you guys want to postpone the vote for the pathways until next month's meeting. What day is that supposed to be on?
November 18th, but now the
Now you want
25th.
to talk about the 25th?
Yeah,
Is that
We
pushing
start our
it?
ISTEP retest November 18th. So I don't know if tonight or an exec session in between now and then could happen. That would reduce our numbers for testing.
Exec session, no, can't make decisions then.
how about November 14th, Thursday?
To move kids out.
That's fine with me.
If we have objection there?
14th?
Yeah.
On the 14th?
Not a
That's a
problem here.
Thursday?
But is that a problem for Cindy? moving it up that early?
No.
Okay,
She's not here, I can speak for her.
well, that would, I'd certainly appreciate that the board could accommodate that.
I wondered about that, you
Yeah.
know, pushing it
That was
back
for you.
too
I
far.
forgot about, yeah, that'd be fine for you.
Will the 14th work for you, Mark?
Sure.
Okay.
Planning on the 14th. Eric, got that? Okay. Sounds good to me.
Alright, so stick around, board. You got a lot of signing to do. Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion.
Make a motion, please.
Second? Second. Thank you all for coming.